Now let's see muscular tissues that contributes approximately 40% of the body mass. Remember, muscular tissues. Uh, if you talk about the contribution of different type of body tissues in our body mass, muscular tissues contributes maximum in our body mass. Approximately 40% of body mass is contributed by muscular tissues only. That's fine. And so it contributes maximum. It contributes maximum in body mass. And that muscular tissues mainly includes different type of body muscles, like that muscular tissues includes different type of body muscles like skeletal muscle, the smooth muscle, and the cardiac muscle. That's fine. That is skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Overall, our body contains roughly 650 muscles. Somewhere that number may be written 639 or 640, but approximately that number is 650. And what is the muscle fiber, and muscle cells? Basically, in our body, number of muscle is fixed, but a single muscle may contains large number of muscle bundle. This is the muscle bundle, and each muscle bundle encloses like structure like this. And inside that structure we can see a single muscle cell or a single muscle fiber. So muscle cell or muscle fiber is same. Suppose that is a part of a typical skeletal muscle. A typical skeletal muscle, that this outermost covering of skeletal muscle is epimysium. A fibrous covering will be mysium, and after that we have a large number of muscle fasciculi. This is called muscle fasciculi or muscle bundle, and this muscle bundle is covered with a covering called perimysium. And in that perimysium there are several enclosed structures. This red one is called a single muscle fiber, or also called muscle cell. And the structure, the covering of the muscle cell is the part of endomysium. So large number of muscle fibers are enclosed in a structure called perimysium that make muscle fasciculi or muscle bundle, and many muscle bundles are enclosed in the epimysium, and that makes our muscle. So muscle contains large number of muscle fibers or muscle cells, and if you drag a single muscle fiber from the endomysium, so if we remove a single muscle fiber, from that structure. So muscle, just talk about a typical skeletal muscle fiber. So muscle fiber is like this, a cylindrical structure that is called structure of a skeletal muscle fiber or muscle cell. That muscle fiber is cylindrical in shape. It is a kind of cylindrical structure that contains large number of parallel units, that is called myofibrils. So a single muscle fiber contains large number of parallel units, and this is called myofibril. And the part of their cytoplasm inside the muscle fiber, this is called sarcoplasm. This is the part of sarcoplasm. This is called sarcoplasm. And the covering of muscle fiber is called sarcolemma. And we can see several striated structure, several transverse structure like this in a skeletal muscle fiber. And that makes the A band of a skeletal muscle fiber, and in between that we can find the structure of I band. So striated lines are there in a skeletal muscle fiber, and it also contains large number of nuclei in that muscle fiber. This is the nuclei, and it is multi-nucleated. That's fine. So a single muscle fiber is surrounded with plasma, lemma or sarcolemma, or we can say the covering of muscle fiber is called sarcolemma. Inside the sarcolemma or in the sarcoplasm, there is many parallel units, that is the part of myofibrils, and that myofibrils are striated at regular intervals, that makes the I band and A band, and it also contains large number of nuclei. So this is the structure of a typical skeletal muscle fiber, and if we remove a single myofibril from that part, suppose this is a part of a myofibril. This myofibril contains some regular units at intervals. This is the part of Z line. This is the part of a single Z line. And this is the gap of between the two Z line. These Z lines are present at regular intervals in a myofibril, and the distance between two Z line is called one sarcomere. Remember the term sarcomere, and this sarcomere is the structural and functional unit of muscle contraction. Remember, one myofibril contains many Z lines at regular intervals. The distance between two Z line is called one sarcomere, and sarcomere is the structural and functional unit of muscle contraction. That's fine. So a muscle contains many muscle fibers. A single muscle fiber contains many myofibrils. One myofibril contains many Z lines at regular intervals. The distance between two Z lines is called one sarcomere, and sarcomere is the structural and functional unit of muscle contraction. That's fine. So this is a typical diagram of a skeletal muscle fiber, and accordingly there are smooth muscle fibers, there are cardiac muscle fibers. On the basis of that skeletal muscle fiber, now we can differentiate all these three different kinds of muscle fiber. What is smooth muscle fiber and what is cardiac muscle fibers? So if we differentiate between the different type of muscle fibers, like what is skeletal muscle fiber, what is smooth muscle fiber, and what is cardiac muscle fiber. So in the diagram we already seen that this is the structure of a single skeletal muscle fiber, that is cylindrical, that is cylindrical multinucleated, also called syncytial condition, and it look like unbranched structure. In that respect, a smooth muscle fiber is like this. They have tapered ends on both the side, also called fusiform end. It contains also large number of that myofibrils. They have single nuclei, but they don't have striations. Remember, they don't have striations. So these are also called unstriated muscle fiber. If it is a striated muscle fiber, remember it is unstriated, and they are spindle shaped with fusiform ends on both the side, and remember this is called unstriated muscle fiber, and these are uninucleated. That's fine. And it also contains large number of cellular junctions for the attachments. Different smooth muscle fibers are attached to each other with the help of cellular junctions. And if we talk about cardiac muscle fibers, cardiac muscle fibers somehow branched appearance like this. They have some, branched appearance. It look like branch structure. And here we can see the structure of myofibrils, and there is a striation also. So basically these cells are cylindrical also, but they are branched in appearance. That's fine. And if we talk about the number of nuclei, here one or maybe two, maximally two nuclei can be there in a single cardiac muscle fiber. And in between these cardiac muscle fibers, we can see specialized cellular junctions like this. And this is called intercalated disc. This structure is called intercalated disc. So if we talk about the structural difference, if it is cylindrical, multinucleated, unbranched, striated muscle fiber, it is spindle shaped with fusiform ends. It is unstriated. There is no transverse lines. It is uninucleated, and they contains large number of cellular junction for the attachment of different smooth muscle fibers. Similarly, in the cardiac muscle fiber, it is also cylindrical, but it is branched in appearance. It may be uni or binucleated, and it also contains cellular junction that may be for attachment, or for communication. Basically, this intercalated disc is a kind of communication junction. And they have a desmosome-like structure. These cellular junctions include the structure like desmosomes that binds to different cardiac muscle fibers. So these are the structural difference between the smooth, the cardiac and the skeletal muscle fibers. And remember, if we talk about their functional property, skeletal muscle fiber is a kind of voluntary muscle fiber because it works as per our will. What our central nervous system coordinates, accordingly it will work. So it works as per our will. This is called voluntary muscle. A smooth muscle fiber is autorhythmic, it is involuntary. And even cardiac muscle fiber is also a kind of involuntary muscle fiber. So structurally somehow cardiac muscle fiber is related to skeletal muscle fiber, but functionally it is very much similar to smooth muscle fibers because these muscles are autorhythmic. They have they can generate some kind of own impulse for their contraction, and it is not controlled by our will. It's all controls by autonomic activities. So it is not under the voluntary control. So it is all called involuntary kind of muscle, smooth as well as cardiac muscle. That's fine. Now, one more important difference is the structure called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Remember, sarcoplasmic reticulum is equivalent to the endoplasmic reticulum of other cells. And this sarcoplasmic reticulum is a storehouse of calcium. And this sarcoplasmic reticulum is most developed in skeletal muscle fiber. It is relatively less developed in cardiac muscle fiber, and it is poorly developed in smooth muscle fibers. So in cardiac muscle fiber, reticulum is relatively less developed, and in the smooth muscle fiber, sarcoplasmic reticulum is poorly developed. That is the another difference between the skeletal, the smooth and cardiac muscle fibers. Remember a very important name, intercalated disc present in cardiac muscle. In between it is not a part of cardiac muscle fiber. In between two cardiac muscle fibers, we can see the structure like intercalated disc, and that disc play a very important role in the distribution of simultaneous impulse in all the part of heart muscle fibers. Our heart atria or heart auricle systole together, our heart ventricle systole together, but at different time intervals. But all the heart ventricles, all the ventricles muscle contract simultaneously, so that all ventricles contracts as a unit to pump the blood outside the heart. So because of that intercalated disc only, our complete heart muscle act like as a unit. The muscles of atria systole together, and after some time the muscle of ventricle systole together, and that is all possible because of the presence of intercalated disc. So remember, because of that intercalated disc, our heart muscle or cardiac muscle act like as a single unit. That's fine. So these are the main difference between the skeletal, the smooth and the cardiac muscle fibers. That's fine. Now if we talk about what actually muscles do, what is the main function of our muscular system. So remember, muscular system involves in the various kind of body movement that may be voluntary or involuntary. Like the movement of limbs is a kind of voluntary activity that is controlled by our skeletal muscle fiber. Even the shivering activity, that's from that part we generate heat. This is also kind of a very rapid activity of our skeletal muscle fibers, although that contracts by the voluntary process, but sometimes because of involuntary requirements we sever. Shivering is a process in which skeletal muscles contracts very rapidly to generate the heat. Smooth muscle fibers are the involuntary muscle fibers, like the activity of peristaltic movement of the stomach, of the alimentary canal, the movement of the contraction of blood vessel, is all happens automatically without our will. So the movement of alimentary canal, that is called peristaltic movement, a term called peristaltic movement. That movement occurs by the smooth muscle of alimentary canal. The smooth muscle of blood vessels, that is tunica media, because of that our blood vessels diameter changes, is also a kind of smooth muscle. And the heart muscle activity, the pumping action of heart is because of our cardiac muscle fibers. That's fine. So these are the different, or remember, even the activity of heart is not controlled by our will. It is all by the autonomic nervous system, or we can say it is not under control of our central nervous system. So it's all involuntary activity. So smooth muscle fibers and cardiac muscle fibers are the involuntary kind of muscles that is not controlled by our will. So that's all about the muscular tissues. Now the last part of our body tissues is the neural tissues. So let's see what is neural tissue.